Hey guys, Tagge here, ready to dive into some actual returns that investors who have bought a turnkey property from us several years ago, and to show kind of how their returns have performed over the years, and to show you some real life examples of the cash out refinance. So let me share my screen here with you and present to you this slideshow. All right, so if you don't know me yet, I'm Tagge. I'm one of the owners here, partners of Memphis Investment Properties. I'm the chief operating officer. I kind of handle the day-to-day operations here at MIP, and I'll be going over some actual returns of an investor and the cash out refinance. So let's dive in. My attorney makes us say this every time. Just disclaimer: all financial information that we show you is deemed reliable but not guaranteed. Performance and projections are estimated and subject to change. The provider, us, as the turnkey provider, shall be held harmless if returns are not met. All investments have risks, and investors are urged to perform their own due diligence and seek professional assistance. And showing you actual results here, they may vary, right? They may not be the same as what these investors have achieved. So this one is the best one. I decided to show you the best one first. This is a full circle. So an investor bought a house in early 2019. Here's a picture of it. He bought it for nearly 200,000. The rent was 1,700. It was a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath new build home that we have here, and we felt like it was a great investment for him, and we'll show you how it kind of turned out. So his initial investment was $42,169.95. That is basically 22% down of the purchase price. So 20% down, he got a 20% down conventional loan, and then the rest of that 2% was just closing costs and fees and taxes, prepaid taxes, insurance, all those fun things. So after 26 months of owning this property, the property increased to 241,000. So a $46,000 increase. That is a 10% average annual appreciation over those 26 months. And so the investor then did a cash out refinance. So I'm going to explain what that is towards the end, but it's just good to show you. He basically was able to get a 75% loan to value loan on that appraisal amount of 241,000. So he was able to pull out $21,414. And as we recall, his initial investment was $42,000. So basically he had $20,755 left in, or about 50% of his initial investment is now out of the deal, and he now has that back in his pocket and could reinvest that into another deal or do whatever he wants with it. So, and basically it just helps him like double his return every year from then on. So here's kind of the timeline of the ownership. So year one, he had no issues. He had a cash on cash ROI of that $42,000 investment. He got an 8.91 cash on cash ROI. No issues, just cash flowed every month, and that's it. Then year two, he did have some issues. He had a vacancy and turnover, so it was vacant for 2 or 3 months. He had some turnover expenses, so he actually got a negative return the second year. So that does happen. I say plan on every 3 years or so, the tenant's going to move out, and you're going to have a few $1,000s in repairs for the property and a couple months of vacancy. So that's why we have that on our pro formas, for you to be saving that every month, have a reserve fund, so you're ready for when that does hit. Can hit at any time, but typically it's 3 years is our average tenant stay around there. So pretty much a wash from first year to second year. Then the third year, though, he had $2,985 of positive cash flow. So his cash on cash ROI was 8.2. And that's not including the cash out refi. If he had the cash out refi, he would have had another $20,000 to $21,000 on top of that. Then a few months later, into year 3.18, is when he sold it. And so then he made $96,867, or a 466% return. So obviously, like real estate, you're weighted very heavily. Like a lot of your return is towards the end when you sell. He sold it for $292,000. So his lifetime return, cash on cash, plus also the appreciation and the mortgage pay down, he made nearly $80,000, or 189% over 3.18 years. That's an average annual return of almost 60%. So a fantastic return here. And he did amazing on this investor. and just really pleased with the results and everything that went on. So real estate does work. This is an actual return. I did actually get these results from all of these investors. They told me their HUDs and everything like that on what they got. So it can happen. Our pro formas are not made up. Typically, we show a 30 to 40%, total return. So it can be better or worse. Right? But this is something we've actually seen. So I mean, it just blows my mind. Just makes me want to be in real estate all the time. I personally am biased, but I think it's a great investment. So here's another case study from an investor, and this one just shows a cash out refinance. So he never sold it, but he did do a cash out refinance, and this is a crazy number of refinance, an amazing one that I've seen. So he purchased it late of 2018. The purchase price was $170,000. Basically, it rented for $1,500 a month. Typical three bedroom, 2 bath house, and built in the 1980s. His initial investment was $37,131. So after 31 months of ownership, this investor got it reappraised. It appraised for $290,000, so $120,000 increase, or basically 28% average annual appreciation. So this investor hit a grand slam. I think we probably sold it a little too low when we sold it to him, but he did amazing. And that's great. And so he was able to pull out $77,000, recalling his initial investment was $37,000. So he got all of his initial $37,000 that he put down, plus $40,000 on top of that. So above and beyond his investment. I mean, the investor received more than double. It's amazing. So yeah, results may vary, but this is definitely, I've seen it. It happens. It's not all the time, but you can actually get this type of appreciation, and it just blew my mind. And in his mind as well. So there's another example of how the cash out refinance can help you. You can pull out your initial investment and then some. It does happen. And typically I see this after 5 years or 10 years of ownership, and not really after 31 months. But as we know, the past couple of years have seen crazy appreciation. And here's the ownership timeline. Year one, he made $3,500 about, or a 9.4% cash on cash ROI. Then he received $935. So he had an eviction and a couple months of vacancy. And then when he did the cash out refi, he got $85,000 out, a little bit of a return in that. So 230%. Then the next year he got a $1,000 return, or 2.7. So kind of just showing what it looks like through the years, cash on cash wise, and factoring in the cash out refinance. Really though, his return, that's ROI as if you're just considering that initial investment he put in. But really, if you consider that he pulled out all of his money and then some, his returns are actually infinity after the cash out refi, because he has, right, your return on investment. Well, the return is whatever, $1,000, $998 divided by investment of zero. He has zero investment in it. All of his money's out. He's working somewhere else. Yeah, so he has infinity returns. So yes, you can achieve infinity returns as well in real estate. So here is an awesome case study of a refinance. So this investor purchased 4 properties over 2018 and 2019. Here's some pictures of them. Just some nice basic, bread and butter turnkey properties, a little mix of A, B, and C class properties in here. And here are the 4 properties, what he bought them for, what they the appraisal value was when he got them refinanced. So the increase in value, and this is how much it appreciated over that time. This is how many years it was from purchase to refi, and the average annual appreciation right here. So yeah, some areas appreciate more or less in Memphis, as we kind of recall, and we mentioned many times to our investors. So he bought total of 400,000 worth of real estate. It appreciated 110,000 to 512. On average, it appreciated in total 28%, and on average, it was a 9.47 average annual appreciation. And then let me show you how the cash out refinance works. So now with those appraisal amounts, he then was able to get 75% loan to value refinance loan amount. Here's his initial investments on all of those properties. And then after the refi loan amount, this is how much he was able to pull out of cash. And obviously he had some fees and closing costs are worked into here, but he was basically able to pull out on average he had to leave in about 35% of his initial investment. So what that means right here, what the left in. So if it's negative, that means he still has money left in the deal. If it's positive, that means he pulled out money above and beyond his initial investment. So the first deal, he had to leave in 17,000 of the 24,000 he put in. The second deal, he left in 9,400 of the 20,800 he put in. This one, he pulled out more than his initial investment, $3,000 more than that. Right here was his cash out refi amount. This one, he left in 11,000 of his $26,000 put in. Okay. And this is the percent left in. And this is how many years it was from purchase to refi. He just refied them all in one go. Hence why there's such different numbers. But basically what it was is he was able to pull out about 2/3 of his initial investment. His total investment was, let me pull it here, 88,000, and the refi amount was 53,000. So therefore he left in 34,000, or 35% left in. That's pretty dang amazing in terms of the cash out refi. So that takes a lot of the chips off the table. Now he can go and reinvest this 53,000 into something and double down and buy, a couple more properties or whatever he wants from there. So this is a very advanced strategy. It takes a lot of learning about it. I'm going to explain a bit. Now that I've shown you what the cash out refinance is, I'll explain a bit about it. So as mentioned, it's a 75% loan to value. So what you do is just one of our preferred lenders, they all do this. I would suggest after 3 to 5 years of ownership, but really I suggest 5 years plus. 3 years just kind of a short time for it to appreciate and also the mortgage get paid down. But you're going to want to just kind of every year or every 6 months, just kind of see what your properties are worth and then times them by 0.75. That is probably what the loan amount you'd be able to pull out. Now with the cash out refi, it does cost money, right? To get this new loan. You're getting a new loan. You need lender fees and title fees. So typically it's about 2% of the loan amount, whatever that new loan amount is, that's lender fees. So that stuff just paid to the lender. And then also you typically have another 2% of taxes, insurance, and other things like that. But that stuff is typically on your P&L anyways. And it's usually in your escrow when you pay your mortgage. So it pretty much is just a wash from there. So, but yeah, you will have 4% in total closing costs. So that's why I do suggest you don't just refi every year, because you're going to pay that 2% of the new loan amount. That'd be a negative profit or not a very good ROI. So like I said, don't refi too early to maximize that lender fees. So let me show you now kind of just the pros and cons of the cash out refinance. So as we can see, the cash out refinance can be amazing. You can pull out a significant amount of your initial investment, if not above and beyond what you personally put in to the deal. So that can just be amazing. Also, you could get a lower interest rate. Let's say interest rates right now are 6% or 5% for investor loans. In a few years or several years, they may be lower. So you could refinance into a lower interest rate. It takes a lot of your chips off the table and de-risk your investment. And then also you can reinvest that money, right? You get the money out when you cash out, refinance it, and then you could buy a whole other real estate. So it's like getting two properties for the price of one, or maybe 3 or 4. So you can kind of double down, and now you have 2 properties appreciating and the mortgage pay down and all the advantages and tax advantages of real estate. And then probably the biggest thing of the cash out refinance, what's nice is instead of selling the house and pulling out all that equity and paying taxes on it, with the cash out refinance, you pay no taxes because it's a loan. It's not income. Okay. Consult with your CPA on that. But I've done that on several of my properties, and all my CPAs have told me, yep, you don't have to pay taxes when you refinance it because you're just pulling out debt and not taking a profit on it. So no capital gains tax on that. There are cons on this. One of the cons is most lenders, or most of the conventional lenders, only let you pull out 75% loan to value. So you still have 25% equity left in the deal that is kind of stagnant. Whereas if you sold it, and especially if you sold it in 1031 exchange, you'd have 25% more capital to kind of reinvest somewhere else. Okay, so you still have some money still left in there. There's loan fees, right? Like I mentioned, 2% or so. It varies from deal to deal, but those can be costly. So you don't want to just do this every year and pay 2% of a new loan amount every year. That would wipe out a lot of your investment. So you can't do it quite often. You want to wait long enough for it to appreciate and then also the principal pay down to happen. So you have some equity stack in there, and it's just worth your bang for your buck on those loan fees to do it. Also, what can happen is the risk of higher interest rates, right? If you got an interest rate of 3 or 4% a couple years ago, now interest rates are 5 or 6. You know, you kind of have that. You have a higher interest rate plus a higher loan amount, therefore higher principal and interest. So therefore, your cash flow might be gone or wiped out completely if you pull out a lot of the money. So you just kind of weigh the risks and rewards. And what you would do when you cash out refied, would you be working that money on something that's giving you an 8, 10, 12% return? Or if you're just going to sit on it, it might not be worth that. It might be worth just to leave the equity in the deal and not refinance and have really good cash flow. Another con is that this does take a while, 45 to 90 days, because you have to get an appraisal. You have to get in. There might be a tenant in there and schedule that with the appraiser. It just takes a minute, and you're kind of at the mercy of the appraisal, right? We can tell you what we think the property would sell for, but the appraiser might think it'll sell more or less than what we suggest or think. It just depends on where they're at. So there's kind of the pros and cons of the cash out refinance. Personally, though, I use this a lot. I typically suggest 5 years. And I suggest just wait until you can pull out all of your initial investment, or maybe 80, 90% of it is probably a good rule of thumb. You know, just depending on you personally as well, what you're going to use with it. And then do the cash out refinance, because it's really worth your bang for your buck on those loan fees on there. So yeah, guys, hopefully this helps you out. Please comment and let me know if you have any questions here. Happy to tell you more about it and show you some more personal examples. Thanks so much for attending, and yeah, thanks for viewing. Have a good one.